Today I'm going to discuss the overview of research. Okay? So what are the things that you have to consider in this subject? And we have the following objectives. Okay, at the end of the discussion or at the end of the presentation, you should be able to define research, okay, and describe the characteristics of research. Also, you should be able to justify why research is considered the most valid and reliable source of information. And finally, you should be able to differentiate the major types of research. Okay. So the question on what is research or how do you define research? Basically, okay, there are different definitions. No, most of the time we use this one. It is a systematic, organized search for knowledge. Why systematic? Okay, because it is methodical. Methodical. May sinusundan po tayong steps dyan. Okay, so as you can see, no, ilang beses pong nagamit yung term na systematic dyan. Also, it includes the process of collecting and logically analyzing, let's align that. Ayan. Collecting and logically analyzing information or data to answer questions. Kaya ka nga magre-research because you want to answer questions. So you have to follow certain methods so that you'll be able to organize the knowledge that you need, okay, and you'll be able to collect the data and analyze them so that you can answer questions. Also, it is defined as the systematic inquiry, no? So it's a systematic inquiry geared towards providing information to solve problems. Yan. Like for example in MAS engagements. Yan. Okay, when we have engagements. Okay, what are these MS engagements? Okay, sometimes you have to identify problems and then you find a solution. Okay, you recommend a solution for the client. Okay, that's also part of research. It also includes a systematic and empirical, tama ba? Empirical approach to answer questions. Now, we usually use this term, no? Okay, empirical. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng empirical? Most of the time, we use this term to refer to hard evidence. Ibig sabihin, they are existing. Hindi lang po siya, ayan, evidence. Hindi lang po siya chismis. It can be verified or measured and remeasured. Okay, so that's what you call empirical approach. And then you have, ayan, sabi, research is a continuous discovery and exploration of the unknown. Diba? Kasi meron at meron tayong mga questions. Life is full of questions, kumbaga. And as a human being, ayan, we are always craving for answers. And ayun, kaya po meron tayong research. Okay? So who needs research? Before we answer this question, we have to take note of the following. First, research becomes a meaningful activity when we find it useful. Siyempre naman, kailangan meron siyang panggagamitan talaga. There is a, what does it mean? There is a specific objective. Specific and objective. Ayan, so that it will be relevant. Kunyari, maganda yung sulat ko. Ayan. So that it will be considered as a meaningful activity. Okay, so if you are researching on, let's say, a topic that is not relevant, and it's not relevant, or wala lang, researchan lang, there's no specific objective, then it's not useful. So walang meaning. Also, okay, it is important in acquiring knowledge. Okay. Hindi po yan mawawala. Kaya tayo magre-research to acquire. Okay, lagay natin dyan. Not just knowledge, but new knowledge. At the end of your research, you should be able to contribute to the existing body of knowledge. Because if not, ba't ka pa magre-research? And then it becomes indispensable in problem solving. Okay, so every time there is a problem in MS, problems are always recurring. But if you're going to look for solutions, the process of looking for solutions to these problems should be non-recurring. And that process can be considered as a research. Okay, so let's try to answer. Who needs research? Okay, dapat yan. Research is for those who are required to make research. Gaya ninyo undergraduate students doing term papers and etc. Even graduate students, masters and doctoral. Why? Because they are required. So, who needs to conduct the research? Those who are required to conduct the research. So, bakit kasi? Why are you required to conduct research? Take note, okay, it's not just it's not just about coming up with a research at the end of the term, but it's about the skills that you will get, from point A to point B. So, what do I mean? From point A, you don't know how to make a research, and then from point B, you now have your research paper. It's not just about coming up with a thesis, but it's more about the skills that you develop, okay, between point A to point B. Eto, hindi natin nakikita yan. But this is the most important part of research for those who are required to conduct the research. What you can only see is the thesis. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Pero actually, eto ang habol natin. Okay? So, ayun. So, dito kayo nakaklasify. And then you have legislator needing information to formulate the right kind of laws. Okay? Or, kunyari, doon sa mga policy makers. Okay? Because researches are the best sources, of policies or basis for policies. Ayan. Technical staff of government officials providing the baseline reports kasi kasama yan sa trabaho nila. Okay, supervisors, managers, top executives on both public and private. Why? Because, ayan, kasama lahat yan. They are engaged in planning, and of course, the most important is decision making. Para sa akin, kung ako yung tatanungin, okay, who needs the research most? Well, number one, those who makes decision. And the decision should be based on the results of the research. Okay? So, yun. Consultants whose bread and butter are proposals. Ayan, soon, gagawa kayo ng proposal. This is actually the end or the final product of this subject. Okay, your chapter 1 and chapter 2. We will have a separate discussion for that soon. And then you have non-government organizations, okay, cooperatives, mass-oriented groups involved in grassroots projects. Okay, so, ayun, nasobrahan natin. Characteristics of research. Okay, first, it should be systematic. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong method. Ayan, it's methodical. Parang sinulat ko na to kanina. Kung may error man ako, hindi ko na po siya i-edit. Hindi ko na i-edit yung video. Idadaan na lang natin sa discussion, sa question and answers. Okay po? Okay, so again, okay, this will be posted in Canvas, also in Facebook, and if you have some queries or kunyari iba yung nabasa nyo doon sa discussion natin, please feel free to comment or ask questions because this will be part of our classroom participation. Okay? So, ayun. Next, it should be objective. Now, when we say objective, okay, it is not based on, it's not based on guesswork. Okay, hindi ka basta nang huhula lang. Ganun po ang research. And kung ano yung result, yun dapat yung ilalagay mo sa findings mo. Okay, because there are some researchers, okay, whose findings are pre-made. Tama ba yun? Pre-made. They are not as objective. Why? Because they already know the findings, or they already have the findings that they want, okay, for the research. Kaya medyo na-sway yung process ng researching natin. Ayan, so letter A, systematic, letter B, objective, and then letter C, it should be comprehensive. It analyzes all aspects of phenomenon. Ayan. Sir, hindi kaya matatagalan yung research namin if we're going to analyze all relevant aspects of phenomenon? Well, oo, talaga. Kaya nga lang, meron pa tayong tinatawag na delimitation. Ayan. So, you have to delimit the research. Although, you're going to analyze this variable, kunyari, variable A. Pero, you have to delimit, okay, only within this population, okay, within this time period for this given characteristics of sample, ayan, and so on and so forth. Meron tayong separate discussion din dyan soon. And it's critical, okay? Subjects itself to scrutiny by others. Kaya meron po tayong tinatawag na defense, okay? Most of the time, there are 3, no? 3 defense yung ginagawa natin. 1 for the title. Okay, pag sinabi nating title defense, okay, you're going to defend your topic. This is what we are going to research. This will be our variables. This is the direction that we want. Okay, so you emphasize the purpose, the importance, how you are going to conduct the research. If that is approved, okay, the second defense will be now the proposal defense. Okay, this under proposal defense, yung output ninyo for this subject, you will have 2 chapters. The introduction, okay? The introduction, which includes the problem, okay? The general problem, a specific problem, background of the study, of course, your paradigm or paradigm, ayan, okay? And of course, the methodology. Ayan, wala pang survey dito. It's just chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay, so ayan. First, you defend your title. If that one is approved, okay, you conduct the research do sa mga theories mo and then come up with a proposal. And then you're going to defend the proposal. If the background, the problem, the methodologies are already in place at maganda naman, okay, you will now be allowed to conduct your data gathering procedure. Okay, so you're now going to prepare your chapter 3 for your findings and results and chapter 4 for your recommendations. Okay, and then i-defend mo yan. That's now your third defense. So first, you have the title. Second, you have the proposal. And then third, you now have the final defense. The final defense will be covered in your next research subject. Okay, for this subject, our intention is, or our objective is, dapat makapag-defend kayo ng title at saka ng proposal nyo. Okay po? The research should be valid. This means that it's based on facts and actual findings. Okay, so you have to gather data. And this is not just based on your opinion or based on your gut feel. Okay, bawal po yun. It should be, gaya nga ng sinabi natin, okay, empirical. Okay, so it should be based on facts and actual findings. Hindi lang chismis. And it's verifiable. Yun yung mga basic characteristics ng empirical na research. You can verify. Ibig sabihin, it can be replicated by other researches. Okay? Assuming that we have the same variables, same situations, same background, okay, and theories that are applied, you should arrive at the same results. Okay? Parehong-pareho lahat. That's how you verify. You cannot verify a research kapag nagbago yung isa. Let's say you have a different set of respondents. Okay? Or you have a different set of, let's say, time period. Okay? There is a chance, no, na baka iba yung lumabas na results. Okay, so yung ibig sabihin ng verifiable. And again, empirical generalizations are based on hard evidence. These are true evidence. It's not just based on projection, no? Ibig sabihin talagang na-confirm. That's the meaning of hard evidence. Okay? You saw it, you heard it. Okay, yan. Na-expose yung evidence sa'yo, tama? Na-expose yung evidence, or ikaw yung na-expose doon sa evidence. Now, when we say exposed to an evidence, you were able to use your different senses. Okay, so, ganun po. Okay? And we'll talk more about empirical empirical, or etong part na to, generalizations are based on hard evidences. Ang common question kasi dito ay, kailan mo masasabi na hard evidence yan? Okay, so may ginawa tayong shortcut dito. Okay, so you have movie. First, okay, it can be verified through mathematical precision. Okay, sigurado kang tatlo, okay, nakita mong tatlo. Okay, bilangin mo nga, dati dalawa, nadagdagan ng isa, so dapat talaga maging tatlo. Okay, so ayun, that's for M. And then O, okay, it is objective. It's based on true facts. Okay, totoo talaga. Wait lang, before we continue, we are now talking about characteristics of an empirical evidence. Okay, you might be saying, sir, parang naulit yata. Kanina kasi, in our previous slides, these are the characteristics of research. So, you have systematic, objective, comprehensive, critical, valid, verifiable, and empirical. But this one, we're talking about the characteristics of an empirical evidence. So, you have moving mathematical precision, objective, it's verifiable. Okay. It means that it can be replicated. It's impartial, no bias. Ayan, wala kang kinikilingan. Okay, so, ayun. So, ibig sabihin, you are objective at the same time. Okay. Objectivity and verifiability together with this one, impartiality. Ayan, magkakasama po talaga yan. Tadaan. And then, okay, there is expert conduct of process. Okay, there's the researcher's expertise. Okay, or it was done by an expert. Lalo na kapag highly technical yung information or data natin. Okay? Like for example, what expert, maybe we could refer to an auditor. When we're talking about the fairness of a financial statement. Okay, or for example, if we're talking about red flags, okay, or red flags in the, let's say, movement of your financial information, yung trend niya, may mga red flags. Then, sino dapat yung expert natin? We can talk to a forensic accountant. Ayan. Okay, or for example, merong insider trading. Okay, pwede rin yan, forensic accountant or fraud auditor. Ayan. Okay po. Importance or purpose of research. Ang dami nito. Okay, basahin natin. Okay, it's the most reliable source of knowledge. This is because it utilizes the scientific method. Feeling ko na-discuss ko na to kanina. And then it improves the quality of life. Okay. Paano yun, sir? Okay. Nung nag-research ako, ginawa ko yung thesis or yung dissertation ko, nagkasakit ako kasi nahirapan ako. We're not talking about just the well-being of the researcher, no? But the application of the research, okay, in our day-to-day life. Ayan, syempre, okay, take note. Why do you conduct a research? You want to have, this, yung knowledge, or not just the knowledge, but you want to identify solutions to problems. And once you have identified the solutions to problems, they are no longer problems. So, you improve the quality of life. Etong pinaka favorite natin. Okay, why do we have to conduct research? Bakit kailangan nating matutong mag-research? Okay, so that aside from providing solutions to problems, okay, this will help us in making decisions, okay, especially business or financial decisions. Ayan. It promotes health. Not for the researcher siguro, okay, kasi magkakasakit talaga kayo dito. Okay, maraming puyatan yan. Okay, pero maybe it's referring to researches done in the medical field. Ayan. Reduces the burden of work, okay, especially for researchers that are in the industrial field. O, ilagay natin. Promotes health, siguro medical. Ayan. Nasa medical field yan, nursing field, ganun. Reduces the burden of work. Lagay natin. Industrial and engineering research. Improves educational practices. Ayan, mga researches in the academe. Ganda naman ng sulat. Kunyari, expands, verifies existing knowledge. O lahat na yan, kahit na anong fields. And then, makes work, travel, and communication faster, easier, and more comfortable. Like, for example, researches in tourism. Diba? Yung pag-open natin ng Baguio on September 21. Ayan. Is this based on research? Ano yung researches na ginawa nila? Meron kaya? That will be your assignment. Research. Serious ako this is your assignment, okay? What were the researches conducted by those who are in charge dito sa tourism? Ano kaya yung mga ginawa nila? Para masabi nila na, hey, we're going to open Baguio to our neighboring cities or municipalities. We are almost done. What's the major purpose of research? To serve man. Okay? Hindi ako gender biased dito. To serve mankind and womankind. Paano ba? And then letter B, to satisfy man's craving for exploration and discovery, because we are always hungry for what is new. Diba? You want to know your limits. You want to know what is applicable and what is not applicable. Okay? So, gusto natin malaman lahat. To increase life satisfaction in countless ways. Ano kaya yung satisfaction na yan? Okay? Diba? We are always craving for something new. Okay? We are always craving for answers. Yan. Kasama po siguro yan. And then letter D, to discover new facts, to access research findings. Okay? Siyempre, to be updated. Kasama po dyan, updated. Especially when you become consultants, no? When you become consultants, okay, you want to be always updated with new researches, no, research findings related to your field of expertise. Okay? Imagine if you are sa business nga, okay lang imagine if you are in the medical field, okay? Sabi ni Dr. Greger, I think there are more than 10,000 researches or 100,000. 10,000 researches every year that is published. So what is new today may be obsolete next week. Sabi niya, sa health pa lang yun, okay? Health-related researches. Diba? And then letter E, to improve existing techniques and develop new instruments or products. Okay? Like for example, if you have your feasibility studies, okay, development of new products and instruments or techniques, okay, like for example your ASAD, and accounting system analysis and design. These are also parts or types of researches. And then to improve existing practices, and to enrich knowledge. Existing practices like, for example, researches done in STRAMA. Ano yun? STRAMA, Strategic Management. Now, let's talk about ethics. Okay, ethics in research. Na-discuss na natin in other subjects. What is the difference of ethics and values? Okay, so for today, I'm just going to focus on ethics. It's something explicit. Okay, this is your ethical guidepost. Okay, this one is for the researcher. Ayan. In conducting the research, okay, sabi there should be ethical perspective. What is this? Researches should have an ethical perspective that is very close to their personal ethical position. If you are a non-smoker, for example, okay, and you don't like smoking and you condone smoking, are you going to join a research whose intention or whose objective is to find the benefits of smoking? Kunyari, or you want to prove, okay, up to what extent will smoking help, okay, in preventing Alzheimer's disease. Okay? So, yung mga ganon. Or, for example, if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, ganyan. And then, aside from being vegan or vegetarian, you're also an animal activist. Okay, are you going to conduct a research wherein, let's say, you're going to use animals as test subject for a chemical, okay, to test the toxicity of a vitamin, ganon, or to test the toxicity of, let's say, a cosmetic product, ganon, and then you're going to use cats and dogs, okay, and pig. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin nito. Okay, it should be close to your personal ethical position. And you should do the right thing. The role of ethics in research is considered in terms of how the researcher treats the individuals with whom he interacts. Ayan. Siyempre, you should be ethical to other entities also. Ayan. And there should be ethical values like caring, fairness, openness, truth. Participants should not be wronged in the name of research. Again, dito pumapasok yung, ano ba talaga yung objective? What's the objective of your research, or what's the purpose of your research? It should be ethical, no? There is informed consent. It should take the form of dialogue that mutually shapes the research and the results. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin nito? Actually, no, to be honest, kaya nga hindi na medyo naiiba yung highlight yan kasi medyo hindi ko rin alam yan. Okay, may tinanong ko, sir, okay, yung kasama akong nagre-research, basahin mo nga ito. Ano kayang ibig sabihin nito? Informed consent. It should take the form of a dialogue that mutually, okay, shapes the research and the results. Okay. Pati siya hindi niya alam. Pero sabi niya, baka meron ka lang maling na i-type dyan. Hindi, kinopya ko yan. Eksaktong-eksakto eh. Okay, siguro baka ang substance niyan ay, which I also agree, sabi niya, baka ang substance niyan ay dapat, okay, malinaw, no? Malinaw doon sa, for example, sa respondents. Ayan, kung ano yung information na kinukuha mo sa kanila, and they should be willing. Okay? They should be willing to give the information that you need. Walang pinipili. Or walang pinipilit, I mean. Okay po. Ayan. Confidentiality, importante ito. It is intended to protect research informants from stress, embarrassment, or unwanted publicity. That's why in your letter, you are going to include, diba? If you're going to conduct a research, you're going to include in your letter that we are promising or we are informing you that the information gathered from this research will only be used for academic purposes, and that the identity will be kept confidential, or the identity and the responses, okay, for the respondents will be kept confidential. Yeah, parang ganon. Okay, wag mo i-chismis yung sagot nila sa mga responses nila. Lalo na kapag medyo personal yung mga questions mo sa kanila. Okay? So, ayun. Anyway, anonymity. Ayan. It protects participants in situations where the information they reveal to a researcher can be used against them by others. Okay? So, this one has something to do with confidentiality pa rin. Consider confidentiality and anonymity to avoid harm. Ayan. Diba? Like, for example, you are trying to, let's say, you're conducting a qualitative study, kunyari, what you call this, yung everyday life ng isang NPA. Di ba? Paano ba ang mabuhay sa bundok? Or sabihin na natin na hindi NPA. Okay, you just want to study the everyday routine for those who are living in the mountains. Ayan. Syempre, what if yung isa sa mga respondents mo pala ay NPA, mga wanted. Okay, so, your intention naman is not to expose them. Your intention is just to understand how they live in the mountains. So, ayun. To avoid harm, okay, you should practice anonymity and confidentiality. Conceptual Framework for Ethics in Research. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na utilization ethics. It is the notion of the greatest good for the greatest number. So, utilization, what's the use of the research? And the research, sabi niya, okay, should not be used to harm entities. Okay, so that's what you call utilization ethics. And then you have your deontological ethics. It is the ethics of duty and obligation. Research subjects should not be treated as pawns, okay, means to an end. Do not deceive participants. Ayan, like, for example, sasabihin mo, my research is the effect of this new vitamin, okay, in this group of people. Hindi ko na sasabihin. Basta they are group of people. Ayan, group A. And then your intention pala is to eliminate these kinds of people. So, parang ganon. Okay? Or, for example, you know that you are just testing a vaccine. Okay? You are testing a vaccine for COVID-19. And then, okay, in your respondents, ang sinabi mo sa kanila, no, we are just testing the effect of these vitamins. Okay, so magiging unethical na yan. And then relational ethics, it refers to harmony and teamwork among the research teams. Bawal ang mag-away-away. Okay, you should be ethical to one another. Ayan. And also to respondents and subjects. So this one has something to do with the entities involved in the research. Okay, yung researcher at saka yung mga respondents. Okay? And then you have your ecological ethics. It considers roles, status, language, and so on and so forth. Cultural norms, ayan, favorite yan, of participants. Consider reciprocity and collaboration. Like for example, let's say one of your respondents is a Muslim, and okay, they are not allowed to eat pork. So you have to consider that, no? And then yung title mo is how tasty is, let's say, product A. Okay, so it is a blind test, parang ganon. Hindi nila alam kung ano yung mga ingredients ng product A, tas meron palang pork. Okay, and then you forgot to consider if some of them are Muslims pala. That's why you have to ask, okay lang ba sa inyo kumain ng pork, ng beef, okay, ng chicken? Pag sinabing hindi pwede, and then one of your ingredients contains pork, ayan, so, hindi mo pwedeng isama yun. Okay, why? Respeto lang. Ayan. Sa cultural norms nila. Okay po? So, ayun. Ano pa ba? Like, for example, you want to test a pagkain na naman ba? Okay, huwag namang pagkain. Okay. Or sige, pagkain na lang. Okay, kaano kasarap itong bagong product namin. Tapos, meron pala siyang blood. Okay, blood ng animal. Kunyari, sa mga iglesia ni Cristo, ayan, nagaya ko, bawal ang kumain ito. Tapos, hindi mo sinabi sa akin na meron palang blood, yan. Diba? So, ayun. And of course, marami pa pong iba. Okay. Major types of research, you have your quantitative, also known as hard research, and then you have your qualitative or soft research. Okay, let's try to differentiate these two. Okay, nako, sana matapos ko to bago mag-isang oras. Okay, so what is a quantitative research? Okay, as to nature, okay, it's called a hard research. Okay, pang hardcore daw yan. Okay, why? Because it's the most objective type of research. Most of the time, it involves numbers. Diba? Naalala nyo yung empirical. Ayan, empirical evidence. And then movies, letter M, it could be determined by mathematical precision. Okay, so, ayun, from the term itself, quantitative. Okay, as long as you can assign numbers, ayan, gagawin mo siya. For qualitative, okay, also known as soft research, in some books, okay, or in some institution, pag qualitative yung yung research mo, parang researchan lang. Okay, yun yung treatment nila dyan. Pero actually, mahirap din ang qualitative research. I will explain later. Okay, pero why is it called a soft research? Because number one, it's subjective. Okay, so it could be based on opinion, on your gut feel, how do you understand the situation based on your own perspective, and most of the time the information or the data gathered is verbal, okay, and the analysis of data is based on experience lang. Ayan, okay, and pag sinabi natin yan, because it's based on experience, hindi natin maiiwasan dito ang para malalim yung research mo, dapat meron tayong immersion. Tama ba yung spelling ko ng immersion? Ayan. So, for example, if you want to, let's say, study the quality of life for those who are living in the mountains. Okay? Pag naging quantitative research yan, you're going to ask them about the extent, okay, extent of, hindi mawawala yung mga yan eh. Tapos may numerical value or the level of this and that. Mga ganun, di ba? Pero wala yan dito. Pag qualitative research, okay, mabuhay ka doon kasama nila. And then you're going to journalize, okay, the experience. Okay, pag na-experience mo yon, you verbalize and describe. And how do you feel about it? Is it favorable or unfavorable? Okay, so, ayun, that's now what you call qualitative research. The role of researcher, this strives for objectivity and is separated from the data. Okay? Hindi siya pwedeng maging kasama sa mga respondents. But for qualitative research, okay, because of this experience-based at my immersion, the researcher is now an integral part of the data, okay, or the source of data. Forms of research, and most of the time you have the following questions like how many, diba, or how much, okay, and gagamit ka dito ng descriptive, okay, pati inferential, no, descriptive and inferential statistics dito, ayan, because it's subjective, ayan, most of the time you talk about lang, verbalize, diba, nasa taas siya. You talk about the nature and the essence, okay, of the variables that you have, ano yung nasa taas, experience during your immersion. Okay, so that is what you call qualitative research. Okay, there's more. As to the goal of researcher, okay, for quantitative research, you want to come up, okay, with a prediction. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na regression analysis when you want to come up with a forecast. Ano ba spelling ko? O control. Diba? Kaya meron tayong mga questions na, is there a significant difference? Okay. You want to see the you want to come up with a test of independence or test of association. Ayan. Okay. Your objective can also be to describe, ayan, descriptive statistics. Kaya nga meron kang frequency, mean, median, mode. Okay, and then you have confirmation. Ayan, kaya meron kang ad hoc analysis, di ba? Doon sa mga correlation mo at significant difference mo. O yan, hypothesis testing. Okay, kaya meron kang chi-square. Ayun, di ba? Daming statistics dito. Ayan. Dito kaya sa qualitative, sabi niya, understanding, description. Sir, may description din naman dito. But this one is a quantitative description. It comes in terms of numbers. Dito, description na yan because you're going to verbalize. It comes in terms of adjectives. Ayan. Discovery, hypothesis, formulation. Okay. This one is my favorite part. Pwede ko bang ibahin yung kulay nito? Tcharan! Tcharan! Ayan, patalastas lang. Dito nagiging maganda yung yung relationship ng quantitative and qualitative. Actually, you can come up with the third kind, no, which is the combination of quantitative and qualitative. Ganito kasi yun. Normally, no, we start with a qualitative research. Okay? So, based on my experience, I'm going to conduct or I'm going to come up with a hypothesis. Okay, I would like to hypothesize that the quality or the level of the quality of life or ayun lang, for those who are living in this region is very high because that's based on your experience. Now you're going to test that using quantitative research. So if this is now my experience, I'm going to test my experience, okay, in this population na kung saan nakitira ako. I'm going to get a sample and let's see if my experience applies to them. Oh, di ba? So it may, no? It may apply or it may not apply kung ano yung result o di yung magiging findings ng quantitative research. And then, kapag nag-apply o di ayos, kung hindi nag-apply, again, okay, you might want to reconsider and conduct the study para makaka-come up ka ulit ng panibagong hypothesis. Ewan ko, am I making any sense? Parang magkatuwang talaga. You have to conduct a qualitative research to come up with a sensible hypothesis. Okay, and then you're going to test that using a quantitative research. After that, gawa ka ulit ng bago mong hypothesis. Based on the findings, gawa ka ulit ng hypothesis mo and then conduct ka na naman ng qualitative research. Okay. Now, as to design, okay, ang kagandahan ng ganitong nare-record yung video, hindi ko nakikita yung mga mukha ninyo na nagkukunot-noo. Okay, kaya hindi ko alam kung naiintindihan ninyo o hindi. Kunyari na lang naiintindihan ninyo. So, let's continue. You have the design. Okay? As to quantitative research, it's determined before the study begins. Predetermined and structured. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng paradigm. Pag-uusapan natin yan. Ang paradigm mo ba ay of the input process output na design or pwede bang ang design mo ay independent variable which is affecting your dependent variable. Di ba na-discuss natin ito sa statistics yata. And then you have the moderating variable in between, okay, or you have the intervening variable. Yan na. Okay, so yun yung mga basic na designs natin. In some institutions, meron pang mga ibang designs, no? Pero here in UC, hindi po mawawala itong mga to. Ayan. Most of the time, pag tatanungin ako, no? A common question kasi ito sir, dito sa UC, ano ba madalas na ginagawa? Is it the qualitative or the quantitative research? Most of the time, it's the quantitative research. Hard research. In hardcore tayo Ayan. Hindi naman para pahirapan kayo, pero because it is structured, it is easier. Is it really easier? It is smart. Ayan. It's specific, it's measurable, attainable, it's relevant, and it is time-bound. Lalo na at tri-sem tayo. Okay. So, you can structure the research in such a way that you can finish this in 1 or 2 semesters. Dito, kaya nagiging special ang qualitative research because it evolves. And this is my favorite word. Ayan. Evolves during actual research. It's flexible and emergent. Kaya nga, pag minsan, no, okay, some researchers, they start with, let's just call this, research A, and then, in the process, nag-iiba yung title kasi iba yung experience, iba na yung nag-emerge na relevant na variables, and naging research B na siya. Di ba? Anong ibig kong sabihin? For example, you just want to analyze. You just want to experience, okay, the quality of life in the mountains. Sulat natin. Quality of life in the mountains. And then when you live somewhere in Sitio Adayu, ayan. Okay, you met a lot of people, and then sa sitio na yun, most of them are females. And then, most of them are NPAs. Okay, naku, huwag kayo magalit sa akin ha. Baka may NPA akong estudyante. Okay, example lang po ito. So, parang sila yung naging main na subject mo kasi napaka-interesting na ang buhay nila. So, in the end, instead of coming up with a paper talking about the quality of life in the mountains, okay, pagdating dito sa dulo, okay, ang inanalyze mo na ay ano yung not the quality of life, pero paano yung, sige na, quality of life or ano yung lifestyle, tama ba? Meron ba lifestyle? Lifestyle ng mga female na NPA or ay, ano yung mga basic na profile nila. Okay, so, ayan, ano yung mga nai-experience nila doon. Okay, so, ayun, okay, it evolves depending on what is relevant and what is applicable, okay, within the duration of your qualitative research. Diba? Saya-saya. Kala nyo madali lang because it's a soft research. Actually, hindi. Sige, buburahin ko yan. Pagbibigyan ko kayo. Mga matanggal ako sa trabaho. Hindi ko alam i-spell ang soft. And, come on. Don't be shy. Punta tayo sa pen. Alright? Porque tinawag siyang soft research, madali lang. Actually, mas mahirap ang qualitative research kasi hindi siya ganun ka-time bound. Even if you just want to conduct a research for 3 months, pag minsan magiging 5 months or 5 years yan. Why? Because it's not structured It's evolving. Ayan, hindi natatapos talaga ang qualitative research because of this. Okay? Ayun. Anyway, as to setting your quantitative research is, most of the time, unfamiliar o kaya artificial, especially for experimental researches, di ba? Yung mga ex post facto, parang mga ganun, no? Okay, but for qualitative research, ayan, yung researcher mismo ang pupunta doon sa lugar. Ayan. Okay, that's why it's natural and familiar setting. Hindi pa pala tapos. Okay, as to sample, ayan, we prefer a large, ayan, number of samples. Yun ang uso ngayon eh. Large quantity. Kaya nga nauso yung data analytics. Okay, walang kwenta yung yung average mo or yung mean median mode mo kapag 50 or 100 lang yung respondents mo. Dapat marami yan yung sources ng data mo para maging mas mas realistic or mas malapit sa katotohanan. And it should be random. Okay, aside from that, okay, as much as possible, okay, the sample is a representative of the population. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na purposive sampling. Okay? For qualitative research, it's non-random. Pipiliin mo lang talaga siya. And then, you have small. Okay? Small sample lang. Konti lang yung yung isasama mo sa source ng data mo. For data collection, it's inanimate instruments like, for example, you come up with questionnaires, okay, scales and tests, okay, or surveys. So, di ba yan na rin yung questionnaire? Sabi ni Dr. Hilario, no? Okay, a questionnaire is just a part, no? It's just a type of having a survey, conducting a survey. Actually, documentary analysis, sabi niya, is also part of survey. Under qualitative research, okay, researcher as primary instrument interviews the sample, okay, and then conducts observations. Sometimes the researcher, okay, is also part, no, kasi nga may immersion eh. So the researcher is also a part of the respondent. Mode of analysis, deductive via statistical method. Pag qualitative naman, it's inductive. Okay? Paano yun? Okay, basta kung ano yung applicable sa kanya, yun na yung applicable sa population. Parang ganun. Because this is my experience, then I assume that this is also the experience of those that are found in this set of population. Okay? So, paano kapag deductive? Then, since ito yung sample mo, okay, representing this population, and then this is your conclusion on this population, then what is applicable to this population is also applicable to that. Okay, or to an entity, whether they are already part of the sample or not. Basta kasama siya sa population. Findings. The findings are precise, it's narrow and reductionist, okay, while for qualitative it's comprehensive, holistic, and expansive. Okay po? So, ayun. Tapos na tayo. Okay, so what are our assignments? Marami tayong assignment, okay, pero dalawa lang muna ilalagay ko. First, please read on the specific type of researches. So, di ba yun na yung qualitative and quantitative? Okay, those are the major types. But what about the specific type of researches? Madami like for example, you have your descriptive. What is a descriptive research? What is a normative? What's a normative research? What is a, ano pa ba yung mga maalala ko? You have a historical research. You also have your experimental research. Okay, gaya ng batch nyo, experimental. Diba? First na nasabak sa K-12, first na nasabak sa, ano pa yung mga na-experience ninyo? Online, marami kayong na-experience, pati sa mga changes sa syllabus. Ano pa ba yung mga ex-post facto? Meron pa ba ito ngayon? Mag-research tayo. Ayan. Anyway, this is a research subject. Dapat marunong kayong magbasa. And then, what is the research process? Marami yan sa internet. Okay? Although iba-iba yung approach, pare-pareho lang naman yung components niya. Okay? So, intindihin nyo na lang. This will be our topics for next meeting. Ayan. Now, so what are you going to do in your free time? Okay, you start researching on this. Okay, and then maybe you can start thinking of a title or topic for your research. Okay, under the topic or title, try to identify what will be your process. Okay, ano kayong process ko? Okay, kahit malabo lang. Identify the process. How am I going to conduct this? So, I should know what are my variables. Ayan. What is the relevance of this research? And meron po ba siyang ethical implications? Oh. Okay. Sorry na po. Pagbigyan nyo na ang tumatanda. Ayun. Ethical implications. Diba? Implications. Oh. Yat, lalo na yung utilization ethics. Diba? Ayan. Okay. Tsaka syempre, yung cultural. Diba? Yung relational. Okay, so yung mga ganun implications. Okay po. Okay, after this presentation, you'll be expecting maybe 2 or 3 more presentations pag hindi ko siya makompress sa isa. And then after that, we're going to talk about your paper. Okay, you will have plenty of time, okay, available for you. I want you to invest them on this. Try to think of a research topic. What are the variables involved? And then, gagawa nyo yan ng chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay, so mag-isip muna kayo. Try to meditate on this on the following days. And then we'll talk about it in our consultation periods. Okay, so I guess that's it. Okay. Hindi tayo umabot ng 1 oras. And thank you.